Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's webcast. My name is Mike Otranto, and I'm a strategic account specialist at Wicresoft. I'm also joined on today's webcast with Jim Patterson, who leads in a business development role, and Matt Wiley, a production guru and technology expert. Today, we will focus on how to kickstart your digital PMO with Project Online. After the webinar, you will receive an email from me with a copy of the recording and the slide deck so you can review later on. The line will not be open for questions, but you can type in your questions via the chat feature. So if you want to know more about Wicresoft and who we are today, we are a Microsoft joint venture that was founded in 2002. We provide consulting, business process outsourcing, managed services, and global support for staffing. We are a triple gold certified Microsoft partner. Less than 1% of partners ever have that designation. We are certified in project portfolio management, collaboration and content, and cloud productivity. From a project and portfolio management standpoint, we have a deep expertise in Project Online and Project Server. So we really have a lot of experience helping organizations maximize their efficiency and technological advantage. At this time, I will now hand off the webinar to Jim Patterson. Jim?
Thanks, Mike, and thank you everybody for joining our webinar today. Our topic today that we're excited about is Kickstart Your Digital PMO with Project Online. And let's go into a little bit of the agenda we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the PMO itself and some of its definitions of purpose and benefits. We'll then talk about what's offered from Microsoft's PMO Digital Workplace. And then we'll talk about the Project KickStart capabilities that Wicresoft brings to the table to help people get effective and productive with the solution quickly. We'll then focus a good chunk of our time on a demonstration of those capabilities, and then we'll wrap up with some benefits and summary and next steps that you might be able to take if you're interested in what you see today. So let's first start talking about the PMO purpose and benefits. And this is an area where different organizations and different people have a wide variety of charters, purposes, and just perceptions of what a PMO should do within their organization. Just a little levity in here about the challenges of PMO versus what the organization wants them to do, for example, what the folks in the PMO would like to do. And the idea, in some cases, it may be as little of a charter as providing corporate reporting up to leadership. In other places, it could be a much more mature PMO where people are providing organizational maturity, project management expertise, and just constant improvement in this discipline within the organization. The key is whatever our charter is within the organization or whatever we're trying to make our PMO deliver within an organization, we need to have tools and capabilities to help us get there. So from a PMO purpose perspective and the wide variety of people's perspectives on that, analysts have been doing surveys on this for quite some time. And the Forrester PMI Global Project Management Office Online Survey most recently came up with these. And they vary and they change in order a little bit from time to time. But if you look at what people's perceptions of or what a PMO should be doing, project governance falls up at the top with overall project management. Very close behind is methodology development, and then very high on the ranking is reporting. And then a variety of things down below, which are all germane to the things that a PMO could or should be doing. Things like portfolio management, program management, et cetera, are all things that PMOs get involved with in an organization. So depending on what we get the staffing and the funding and the blessing from leadership on what we should be doing, this can vary widely within an organization. That being said, there's a lot of disciplines in here, a lot of subject matter expertise contained within this. And to be able to enable, embody, and execute this within an organization can require a lot of innovation and a lot of execution of process and change within organizations. So we'll talk about how maybe we can streamline that processes during the course of this webinar. The other factor that complicates things is that the speed of change within the marketplace is the new norm. Things are not as stable and steady as steady as she goes as they were in past years. In the past, a lot of times we could actually put portfolios in place and execute on projects in phased methodologies, and we could just go ahead in a very steady fashion towards completion of our projects. But now with our current modern speed of environments and unpredictable business environments, constant planning for change is the new norm, meaning things don't stay the same for very long, meaning we have to be ever more responsive to change and more nimble and more agile as we go on through. So these are some of the challenges that PMOs face today. So if you think about PMO capabilities, where technology has become a highly complex landscape, and that what we really want to do is empower human creativity and innovation and intelligence through this process and get better and more effective through our execution. You look at the things in these bricks or building blocks, where in the lighter colors, the more traditional things that you'd expect to see, resource management, portfolio management, schedule and task management, et cetera. Those are the pillars and the traditional things that we all expect to see in a PMO and in the solutions that actually support the PMO's efforts. But in the darker blocks, we're seeing things that are really becoming to the forefront that need to be added into the mix. We need to build agility and more agile approaches. We have to look at more overall work management capabilities because our resources are spread across all different types of work. We have integration, meaning we have different solutions for different types of work, meaning to get a full picture of things, we have to have visibility into things that are going on in maybe different silos of information. Also from a simplicity perspective, because things have gotten more complex in the landscape, doesn't mean we shouldn't be doing everything we can from a process and a systems perspective to make the engagement and user experience in these areas as simple as we can possibly make it. And obviously automation with things like workflows and notifications and the automation of business process is something that's very important to become effective within organizations. So these are things that have been layered in to just take a landscape that was challenging to begin with and adding more challenges to the picture. So the idea is having a digital PMO and digital tools and capabilities at our disposal brings about certain benefits. It can help us achieve more agility. It can help us become more scalable, meaning we can get more people involved and get quicker turnaround times on things if we're all connected digitally. We can also do things like put solutions in place to help lower our overall total cost of ownership of these solutions and processes, and also provide more governance and control over a broader scope of work or across an entire organization rather than just say departmentally. It also gives us the ability to take action. If we have these processes in place and we get them in place in a way that fits our organization, it gives us the ability to take action quickly and keep our momentum going towards successfully delivering to our internal and external customers. It also really helps us focus on delivering value. So instead of us spending time and effort on manual data crunching tasks, duplication of effort, auditing, we can actually focus on our efforts on things that actually deliver value to the organization and actually produce product. It also helps us strengthen collaboration in this new digital age and with all the social capabilities that are built into software today. The ability for us to communicate and collaborate across geographically dispersed teams, even globally, is something that's a benefit that we get. And then just from a flexibility perspective, a lot of our digital solutions today provide mobile access and also accessibility from a wide variety of locations that leverage cloud technology so that we're not limited by our reach and access. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to put a set of processes and solutions and capabilities in place that give us a competitive advantage. I mean, that's why we're doing it in the first place, is so that we can be better, so that we can be more effective and more efficient, and ultimately take advantage of the opportunities that are out there in our industries. So if we look at Microsoft's PMO digital workplace, today we're going to be talking about Project Online, which is the most current and recent PPM solution for project management offices available from Microsoft. And this pictorial depicts that it is an end-to-end solution that really provides capabilities all the way from the early ideation and demand management, all the way through all the portfolio management and selection of projects, all the way through the execution pieces and the different dimensions of that, and then all the reporting and business analytics across that. What's different today and what's different there from what maybe people traditionally saw in Microsoft Project or Project Server with the on-premise solutions is that it's all built upon a Microsoft infrastructure in the Microsoft cloud, meaning the robust infrastructure of data centers and redundant data centers, SLAs with robust uptime commitments, and all the different compliances and auditing that is done to make sure that it meets the needs of a variety of industries are all in place so that you don't have to worry about that. On top of that, folks that have used over the years the different Microsoft business productivity tools from Microsoft Office, we're now moving those things into Office 365 in the cloud. More and more people are actually leveraging this capability. And Project Online actually becomes an extension or a part of the Office 365 experience and just another application or service in there. Consequently, you get to leverage these other tools like email, social capabilities, documents, things like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, SharePoint sites, and other things and other apps that you get to use in the context of a business, or I should say a project management process, as opposed to just as standalone apps. These things all work together in synergy and harmony to give you the most effective capabilities with familiar tools to you and your organization. Now, part of the reasons why Project Online is a good solution is because it has such a huge footprint. People since the early days have been using Microsoft Project on the desktop. A lot of folks have become proficient with it, and it has become a de facto standard. Even non-Microsoft solutions in this project and portfolio management realm have to have Microsoft Project import capabilities and other things like that because it is so ubiquitous out in the marketplace. But there's over 20 million users of Project out there today. And just the numbers are staggering of what a standard it's become out there and how much of it is out there in significant companies and organizations worldwide. But to take advantage of that and take advantage of the new things that are there in Project Online, we need to get you there and be able to leverage it in a way that is helpful to your organization. And that's where Wicresoft has come up with the Project KickStart as a way to accelerate people's time to value within the Project Online solution. So what is a Kickstart for Project Online? Well, it's a pre-configured set of best practices, tools, resources, and just expert content that really helps you with your Project Online experience. If you think about it, there's a lot of standards and things that are core to good project management and portfolio management within a solution. A lot of that stuff, instead of us building that over and over again or configuring that over and over again in Project Online, why not take those best practices and get them in an accelerated package that we can deploy very quickly on an automated basis for customers so they can get value potentially even day one from the pre-configured basis that's in there. The idea is you can get to know Project Online quickly, which means you can use it for test drive purposes with very highly configured capabilities and mature capabilities. It can use it as a way to help you gain executive buy-in as you're looking to promote a solution throughout an organization. It can also just help you better get a closer look and evaluate Project Online and the depth of things that it can do for your organization. And in general, it's most often the real value is to just kickstart your deployment, accelerate your production deployment of a PPM solution, and do it in a way that is fully baked, ready to go, and takes limited service time in order to get that up. The idea is to get a solution up quickly and get a good best practices basis up right from the get-go. Now, to do this, we actually have an automated process that can get up the core base configuration of Project Online with all the bells and whistles up in an automated fashion. But when we say it can get up and running in as little as 3 weeks, our Kickstart approach can often be a basis by which you can get the best practices put in place, really actually have a foundation and an environment where you can manage your projects and your portfolios right away. But we find more often than not, folks do want some things that are unique or specific to their own organizations, their nomenclature, their processes, their phases, their gates, whatever it might be. So there might be some level of configuration that goes on top of what the Kickstart pre-configured basis has. The idea there is we call that our build to order process, and between the pre-configured basis and then just reserving services time to use and do configuration that truly is unique to your organization, we end up getting a combined value proposition that gets you up quickly and something that is somewhat tailored for your organization or to the degree that you want it to be. The idea there being, instead of this being the old method of PPM deployments where you're weeks or months into it and you do a lot of design and requirements gathering up front and really don't deliver value until weeks or months later, we can have the folks getting value from this solution very quickly in as little as 3 weeks. So what comes with a Project KickStart? Well, first of all, because there is a pre-configured basis and we have a design spec for that, you do get design documentation so that if you do want to modify it later on, you do have a spec to use as its basis. We have project workspace templates that basically allow you to have SharePoint sites that are specific to your different project types. We provide training, role-based training for project managers, executives, and team members. We provide build-to-order configuration, which means we provide a certain amount of that configuration that's unique to you, that's over and above what's in the pre-configured solution. And then we have also we have pre-built Project KickStart apps, things like Project Plus that actually provide things like enhanced program management capabilities and UI add-ons to ease the experience for folks in certain areas, and also pre-built dashboards and reports so that people do not have to build those or configure those for themselves at the beginning. And overall, that pre-configured environment is the core of everything that's done here. And within that, we assist you in your user acceptance testing of the ultimate configuration, and then we provide support post-implementation for you as well. So the idea with this package, you get to do something in a environment that has shown success and track record over time and saves you having to go through the trial and error of figuring out the best ways to configure this solution for your organization. I won't go through this in detail, and you guys will get these slides, but there's a ton of value in that pre-configured KickStart app. Things that you would normally have to configure yourself come to you in a pre-packaged way and add value. Now, there's a lot here, and if you're looking for simple configuration and simple capabilities, you do not have to enable all of this. They will be in your configuration, but you don't have to expose them or put things out there for your organization that you're not ready to tackle. And then ultimately, for the configuration pieces that we do for you that are unique to your organization, beyond the KickStart, that build to order process, we use an iterative methodology. We take more agile concepts in doing this. So instead of doing a big deployment that here's your solution at the end and then tell us how you like it, it's an iterative process with customer involvement all the way through, meaning we do in 2-week sprints capabilities that we deliver on a regular basis to the degree that you have those that you'd like us to do, and then have you review, accept, and give us your blessing that we're on the right track, as well as the ability to release that capability into your production environment on as frequent a basis as you would like. The key here is if we're delivering incrementally, we can respond to change. Because one of the things that we find is that people's needs or perceptions of their requirements change over the course of an implementation. And a requirement or an idea that you may have had on how to deploy this that you might have had at the outset might change midway through your deployment, or maybe even after you go production. The idea is to make this as incremental as possible so that you can respond to change, and making sure that what you're delivering to your internal customers is ultimately what the current perception of what the requirements are and not what it was back when we actually did a detailed requirements analysis. So this iterative methodology is being received very well in the marketplace. The key here is to provide continuous improvement. So instead of the red lines you see in here where there was a lot of implementation and value and then lulls and value, we're actually providing continuous improvement through the KickStart process that starts us with value very early. And it actually aligns our investment in these solutions with value, meaning we're getting value almost simultaneously with our expenditure of investment into these solutions. And then with the more agile incremental approach, we're incrementally adding value continuously rather than at different stages or releases over long periods of time. So hopefully that gave you a little bit of a perception of the concept of a KickStart. It really is about pre-configured basis that prevents you from having to do that and innovate that on your own, and then really providing robust best practices capabilities that Matthew Willey is going to show you now. So Matthew, why don't you take it away?
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jim. All right, so I'm logged in here into Project Online. Project Online has been set up here in this demo environment with our pre-configured KickStart solution that Jim has been talking about. And so we'll be able to take a look and see what that is. Just as an example, you see some KPIs right here: overall health, schedule health, issue health, work health, etc., related back to these different projects within our portfolio or multiple portfolios. Those are things that are all added in our KickStart. You know, pretty much every customer we talk to has some KPIs that they want to track, and they're usually these or a subset of these, and maybe a couple extras that we can configure for them during that BTO process. That's just, you know, one example of the types of things that the KickStart adds. So let's go ahead and jump on into the demonstration. We'll just go through a basic flow from a project being requested all the way through a project being completed, and show how that all looks and works, and how we can then generate reports off all of that within the system as well. So a project can start out as a request or an idea that comes in. And instead of having those requests and ideas flowing in from, you know, all different places, people telling you things in the hallway and sending you emails and whatever it might be, and Excel spreadsheets and this and that, and you don't always get the right information nor have one place to go to see a list of all of these different requests, ideas, and such. We can make one special, you know, similar place and require the information that we want, although it doesn't have to be too rigorous. You don't have to require a ton of information. And we have this app that we can start from here to start with. And you can see here are all the different requests that have been flowing in. We can see what type of a project they are, who requested it, is there an executive, a sponsor aligned, you know, so on and so forth. And then based off of certain choices people put into these requests, we can generate a high-level prioritization score to get a better feel of how valuable is this project, you know, based off of the different information that they're plugging in here. And that's all configurable, so we can update that calculation to be based off of whatever information you want, but we have some best practices and some starting points to start on. You can even allow people to do a star rating if you choose to do so. So it's not just based off of, you know, more objective scores, but we can put some gut feeling into these things. The idea here is that the better things are going to kind of bubble their way up to the top. And we can even flip this into an online Excel spreadsheet view and on the fly make updates and go, you know what, I don't really think it's going to give me that much cost reduction, so I can switch this here to medium, and if I click off of it, you'll notice in real time it's going to update my prioritization score over here. So we can come and make adjustments, look through this, and really just have one place to go to see all these requests flowing in. I like to think of it as a funnel. This is the first part of the funnel. We might get, you know, 100 or 1,000 or how many ever requests within a different period of time. And from here, this is the first part of the funnel. If it looks good, looks interesting, like something we might want to do, then I can say I want to create a project from this. And it's going to take all the information I already filled in and move it over into the project list so we can kind of keep our project list clean, only the things that we're possibly interested in. But those are going to come in as requested projects. And so from there, if we want, we can put in more information. For example, I may want to build a high-level resource plan before I go ahead and say, yes, we're willing to do this project. My high-level resource plan is going to allow me to answer a few questions. Question number one, is this going to take 5 people, 10 people, 100 people? What types of people are you going to need? Do you need project managers, developer, business analysts? You know, what types of roles and or teams might be involved on this particular project? So we can get a better idea of the scope and the types of resources needed for this project without yet having to go and build a very detailed project schedule with, say, 100,000 tasks in it or whatever it might be, that type of a thing. So to do that, for this particular project, my social networking integration project, I can come in and say, okay, I need a business analyst, and I'm going to add what's called an engagement. An engagement is really just a placeholder for that resource or resources on this particular project. So I think I'm going to need them to gather requirements. You can put in a basic description there. I think I'll need them to start, let's say, in September, and I might need them for the next few months, say out until the end of January, something like that. I can say I think I'll need them 100% of the time, or maybe I only need them 50% of the time, or you can do it in hours if you choose to do so. I think I'm going to need, you know, about 200 hours worth of a business analyst time. If you had multiple business analysts you need, I need 3 business analysts, I could put in, say, 300%, something like that. So it makes it really quick and simple. You say, okay, and now it becomes more like a spreadsheet type of format again. I can come in here now and I can go, okay, in September, actually, we'll just be ramping up. Maybe I only need you 50%. And in January, we'll be ramping down. Maybe I only need you 75%. And you can copy and paste and drag and drop and do whatever you want to do in there to get your resource plan together. But basically, the point is to be able to do that high-level resource plan, and these will actually become requests if this project gets approved that a resource manager can then go and fulfill and say, here you go, here's your business analyst. And we'll see how that works in just a little bit as well. So I can build out my resource plan. Another thing I might do at this point is build a little bit more of a detailed budget. And so by opening up the financial planner here, I can come in and quickly key in a high-level budget for my project. So I can come in and go, okay, for equipment, I have, $5,000 in August, and in September, I'm going to need $20,000 of software, and so on and so forth, and start to key in your budget here. If you want to put in a lot more detailed information, we have a capital budgeting solution that allows you to create more detailed budget requests with business cases and so on and so forth. Or it can be as simple as this, just keying in the budget here over time so we can get a better idea of what types of costs, where's that money going to be going to, software, equipment, labor, etc. And we can even roll those things up into capital expenses and operational expenses, so we can better understand what's the CapEx, what's the OpEx breakout, for accounting purposes, to make sure that we can take advantage of all of the different incentives for using capital expenses, for example. Later on, we can start to track forecasting here, so I can go, okay, I initially budgeted $20,000 for software, but we ended up needing more licenses. It's actually going to be more like $25,000, so we can start to update our forecasts and give more real-time visibility into where we really think it's going to land as we get closer. And then later on, we can even then bring in actuals and go, well, it actually ended up being $20,000. I can key that in, or we have an integration platform called Project Connect. We could integrate with your financial system, like say SAP or PeopleSoft or whatever you might be using. We have lots of out-of-the-box connectors that we can utilize to connect up to financial systems to bring in those actuals so that project managers and others can get real-time visibility into those costs, instead of, in a lot of organizations, you may get like a monthly Excel spreadsheet that goes out that says, here you go, here's your actuals. And by then it may be too late or not often enough, right? So from there, I now have a budget. I now have my resource plan. And I'm going to go ahead and click into this project here, actually, this one, my social networking integration project. And, as we're going through this process, there's a workflow engine within Project Online that we can utilize to automate the flow of this process all the way from start to end. So right now, I'm still in the initiating phase. I'm really early on. I haven't even got budget approval yet. And if I expand this guy down here below, I can see the full flow of this workflow where we're going to go. We're going to go from initiating to planning to executing, so on and so forth. And this is a standard workflow that's included with our pre-configured KickStart. So based off of the PMBOK methodology, but these can be tweaked. So if you guys don't go through these same stages and phases, we can tweak this and configure it so that it goes through the stages and phases you want it to go through, right? And that's all just configuration. It's not like we have to write code or need a developer to do that. So it's pretty simple and straightforward to get that done. As you go from each stage to the next, we can send out email notifications to people saying, hey, just to make sure you're aware. We can also send out approval tasks. So before you can move to the next stage, we have to get approval by multiple people or a group of people or whatever it might be. So it really helps to automate that process and work your way all the way through to the end. So the last piece of information that we might want to capture before we go and do our more detailed portfolio analysis is some strategic impact information. What that really means is we have some business drivers or business goals. We want to do things like expand into new markets. We want to improve customer satisfaction scores, product quality, reduce expenses. And you can mix financial metrics into this as well. And we're going to basically score this project based off of these different business drivers that we've set up. And these are configurable. So we would set this up for the business drivers for your business, right? And based off of all that information, we can now do a portfolio analysis using the portfolio analysis capability within Project Online. And instead of just kind of willy-nilly picking projects that sound good, we can have more objective information to try to make some better decisions and really drive our bottom line, get more value for our investments that we're making in these different projects. So what I'm looking at here is, you can see I have $4 million budget is what I put in for this particular scenario. If I have $4 million, I can't do all of these projects that people have been asking to be done. So these are all those projects that have kind of made its way through this process, and we put in the budget and the resource plan and so on and so forth, right? From here, what I can see is, if I do the projects that the system's telling me to do, I can get 66% of the value, and I'm gonna have total benefits of about $8.2 million. So that's a fairly good ROI. And what it's doing, though, is it runs its algorithms on the back, and it figures out the most efficient or the best mix of projects to get us the most value with the amount of money that we have. So instead of me trying to do this in Excel spreadsheets and all of that, it's giving me the information right here. But with that said, you can always force things in and say, this is something we absolutely have to do. It's a government compliance project. Or we can force things out if we choose to do so, if it's something we absolutely don't want to do for whatever particular reason. But then I go, okay, well, I want to do more projects. Maybe we're willing to make a little bit bigger investment. What if I have $5 million? So you can do some what ifs and create some different scenarios. If I have $5 million, then we can get 83% of the value. Our benefits go up to almost $10 million. So we can start to look at the reward for that extra cost or that extra budget, right? There's a lot of other cool things you can do in here, and you can compare scenarios and all of that, but the basis is to be able to try to get some objective information in and make some good choices around where we should spend our budget to get the most value. From there, if you want to take it one step further, then you can use the resource analysis module to then go in and go, okay, that's great. I have the dollars to do these particular projects, but that doesn't necessarily mean I have the resources to do them within the periods of time they're being asked to be done. And this is a huge problem in a lot of organizations. We go, yep, executive A says we want to do this project, and they fund the money, and it goes time to start working on the project, and we go, crap, everybody's over allocated, we don't have resources. Now we got to go scramble back and try to figure out how we're going to pull this together, and then the project gets delayed, and so on and so forth, right? So what I'm looking at now is I can start to create a top-down portfolio resource plan at an earlier point before we get there, to try to help mitigate that risk and avoid as much of those issues as possible, right? And so if you look in my my high-level Gantt or timeline view over here, you can see a lot of these projects are being asked to be started at the same time. If we do it in this time, we can't do all the projects. We can only do the ones here it's saying that are selected. More importantly, we should put our resources on these ones to get the most value, is what this is telling me. But we can play around with this. We can go, well, what if we move out some of these lower priority projects? If we stagger our projects a little bit better, then our resources won't have to try to do them all at the same time. So I can move that out 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be, push things out, and then that'll allow some more projects to scoot in. And so we're figuring out how we're going to get all this work done. One way is give ourselves more time, push things out. The other way is, what if we're willing to hire resources? I'm, say, willing to hire another 6 people. I can hit recalculate, and those might be contractors or full-time employees or whatever it might be. But we can start to run some scenarios and say, if we hire 6 people, now what can we get done? And so you can see we now can get 72% of the value. And if I scroll over here, it moved in 3 more projects by hiring those extra 6 people. And we can take that back to the business and go, okay, scenario A, we need to hire this many people. Scenario B, we need to push out these projects to these later dates. Are we okay with that, or are we willing to hire the people, right? On scenario C, maybe a mixture of the above, and we can start to make some decisions about how we want to go forth and actually execute on all of this work. Now, these modules that I've shown are not required by any means, and we always recommend a phased approach. So if you're just looking to get all your projects in the system and get a project schedule there, and you're not ready to use the full portfolio analysis capabilities and such, that's absolutely okay. We can disable it for now, and later on, if and when you're ready to start using that, if it makes sense, then we can turn that on. And that goes for all of the different modules that we'll see within the demo today. So point is, from there, we now can say commit, and that's going to push these projects into an approved status, those ones that we had selected, and we now have a plan to go and start and execute on that. Once that happens, then resource managers are going to get notified from that initial resource plan we created, where we said we needed a business analyst. the proper resource manager will be notified to say, hey, so-and-so needs this business analyst on their project. So they'll get an email notification saying they need that. And as a resource manager, I can then come into the system and go into the resource center, and I have a place where I can go get all the information I need to be able to then go and fulfill these resource requests and say, here you go, you asked for a business analyst, here's, you know, so-and-so to take care of that. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So if I come into the resource center, I'm looking at all of the different resources in my enterprise resource pool here. Right now, I'm just interested in business analysts. That's what the request was for, and that's who I'm the resource manager of, let's say. So I selected all my business analysts here, and I'm going to click on resource requests. When I do that, this allows me to have one place to come to see all the different requests that are coming in. These ones up here are committed, the ones that I've already went and said, here you go, here's your resource. And then down here are all the proposed ones, so the ones that I have not yet fulfilled. So you can see, so there's a business analyst being requested to gather requirements. I need them 100% of the time from this date to this date, so it's giving you all the information here that you would want, right? And then I can go, okay, great. I understand what's what's needed, and I can flip over into either a report or my capacity, view here. And there's lots of different views and reports and ways that you can look at this. I'm looking at it by month, but I could look at it by week if I wanted to. And you can do FTEs or hours, so on and so forth. Point is, I can come in and see very quickly who's available and who's not within that period of time. Because all of the work is here in Project Online, we're looking across all these projects. We can also load it in operational work as well. So we can really get a true picture of who has availability and who does not. So some people are already over allocated and they show up in red here. So we can see we should probably stay away from them. We probably need to even get them some help if they're too over allocated. If they're in green here, then that means that they're being utilized properly. They're not too far over or under allocated. They're kind of in the sweet spot. If they are in blue, then that means they have availability. And you can see Patrick here, for example, doesn't have any work for this particular period of time yet. So we need to get him some work. So let's go ahead and flip back into resource requests. And we can simply come in and say, okay, Patrick, you're going to be the guy. I just hit my drop down here, switch that to Patrick. That'll notify the project manager and say, hey, project manager, you've been given Patrick for that business analyst you asked for, and so on and so forth. So that whole process and that kind of negotiation process can flow if you choose to use that. Again, you don't have to use these capabilities. They're just tools and things that are here if your requirements dictate that. So switching back to more of a project manager then, as I come back in, now I got my resources, I need to go and update my project schedule and get my plan together so we can really start going and executing on this, go and execute on this project, right? So if I go into one of my in-progress projects, like say VoIP phones here, I can come in and I'm gonna do just that. I'm gonna build out my schedule. One of the cool things though is you can start from a template. And so we set up multiple different project types within Project Online, and those different project types allow us to define which schedule template to use, if any. So if we're doing a similar type of project over and over and over again, then we can utilize some best practices. We can save that as a template, and next time I come in and go and create a new project, I don't have to build this all from scratch. We may have just a high-level project here that just has, say, milestones, deliverables, phases and such, or we can have a more built-out one that has more detailed tasks below it if we choose to do so, depending on what level of detail we're looking for from a status and a reporting perspective, right? So I can use the online planner right here within Project Online to go and build my project schedule. It's very simple, quick and easy, all right through your browser. You don't have to go anywhere, and you have all the basic project scheduling types of features you might want: indent, outdent, saving, baseline. You can link tasks together. There's a Gantt built into this here, so you can see how that all flows from a Gantt perspective, so on and so forth. But the basics is when I get my schedule the way I want it, I can hit publish, and that will then make this visible for everyone. And it'll also notify people that have been assigned to these tasks so that they know, hey, here's some work that I need to start working on. If you want, you can also open up this project in Microsoft Project Desktop if you wanted to do so. You just hit open Microsoft Project Desktop, and if you're more comfortable or familiar with building out your schedules in Project Desktop, you can still start from a template here or you can start from scratch, build out your project schedule like you always do. The only difference is that when I hit save, it saves back to Project Online. And when I hit publish, just like in the online planner, that's what's going to make it visible, kind of kick the project off and send out those notifications to everyone. At the end of the day, what still happens is we now have one portfolio of all of our projects, one list of all of our projects with some key metrics. We have all of our schedules with the latest information all within one place instead of, different files and Excel files and project files flying all over the place. And we don't really have a good way of getting that all together and seeing everything, right, all at one time. So now that we've built our project schedule and we've assigned people, I'll switch to more of the team members persona, the guy who's getting assigned that work and now is going to go in and start working on it. And so there's a feature in here called My Work, and that allows me to come in and see all the different work that's been assigned to me within one place. So I don't have to guess what I'm supposed to be working on. It's all right here ready to go based off of those project schedules that were just published, right? And I got a notification, so I know to come in here and take a look. There's even a mobile app for this, so if you want to check out your work and update your status and such from your mobile phone or your tablet, you can do that as well. So I come in, I see my work that I'm supposed to be working on. As I finish that, I can be, simply just check those off and say mark is complete. Or if we're doing more detailed status updates, I could update my % complete or my remaining work. This is all editable right within here. And all that information, that status, those status updates are going to flow back to the project manager automatically. So project managers don't always have to be chasing people down, asking what's the status, what's the status, what's the status. If everything's going right and people are doing what they're supposed to do, then that status will automatically flow back to them. Then project manager only has to intervene if someone's not doing what they're supposed to do, which obviously is still going to happen, but this can help with that and make it a lot less rigorous to go and get the status updates on this different work that's going on, right? If you choose to do so, then at, say, the end of the week or every day, if you can get people to do it, then you can go in and you can put in your time and fill out a timesheet on all of this different work that you're working on. Say, on Monday, I worked 8 hours on this, and Tuesday, I worked on that, so on and so forth. And so that helps us to then capture all that time, and that all flows back into the project schedule as well. And there's an approval process around that if you want it, so that we can bring that in. Through Project Connect, we can even integrate with other systems, Agile tools like Visual Studio Team Services or Jira, etc., and import the status updates and the time that people are spending that they're tracking in these other tools to bring that back, so we still have one place to go for our portfolio of all of our projects to get that all back together, right? It's really the main goal there. As we're working on these projects, we can communicate and we can collaborate and we can work together to get that work done. And so Project Online is actually built into SharePoint. And so if you're familiar with SharePoint, there's a lot of collaboration type features natively built in, and we get to take advantage of all of those, plus some extra ones that are specific to Project Online. So Project Online really adds a bunch of capabilities, project management related capabilities like the timesheet and the portfolio analysis and the scheduling on top of SharePoint. But we still get great things like the document management. And so when you create a new project, it can automatically spin up this project site for you, and we may have it preloaded with certain project documents and templates and things like that. So I don't have to go and try to find the latest versions. They're already all here ready to go. We can take advantage of the newsfeed capabilities, or this can be integrated with Yammer if you choose to do so, and start to get some social capabilities going on where we can send out notifications and announcements, and we can like things and reply and make sure everybody's aware of what's going on for this particular project. We even have a nice little project summary up here with the timeline and some information around what tasks are upcoming and what's late, and kind of giving me a brief overview of the project here. On top of that, we can track other artifacts around projects if we choose to do so. Things like issues and risks and changes and lessons learned and so on and so forth. And so if I come in here into my issues list, and let's say I want to create a new issue, which is then going to roll up into my status reports, and we'll take a look at some of the different reporting capabilities in just a second. It's as simple as coming in and filling out a little form with the title of your issue and who's the owner and who's it assigned to. Later on, once we resolve it, we can put the resolution here if we choose to do so. But this is configurable as with most things in the system. So if there's more information you want to track around issues, we can add that, or if there's less, we can remove it. It's all configurable, and we can tailor it towards what you want to do, right? Same thing then with risks or any of these other ones. If I want to come in and add a new risk, it's as simple as adding a new item here and filling out a little form. The difference is I'm filling out some different information. So for example, risks, we might want to know the probability of the risk happening and the impact should it happen. You know, those types of things. We might want to build a mitigation plan and so on and so forth. So all the best practices of project management are already built into this. We just need to then extend it from there and tweak it towards your specific needs and your specific requirements. This all integrates really well with Office 365. So for example, those documents, if I was that I upload in here and those, you know, that I'm submitting back into my document library, those are all accessible through OneDrive, and you can search using Delve across all of Office 365 and still have access to this. So it's really a digital you know, workplace here with all of these different apps and capabilities, and they all tie together. Project Online is not kind of its own separate thing. It ties in with a lot of these other different capabilities within Office 365, like OneDrive for documents, Power BI for reporting, you know, so on and so forth. There's many different tie-in points there. I also really like this notebook feature. So if I click on notebook here, it'll take me into a OneNote online notebook. So every week, say when I have my status meeting around this particular project, I can come in and put in my meeting minutes here and my notes and decisions and whatever it might be, and keep those all organized and related right back to my project. And then halfway through my project, let's say the project manager gets changed for whatever reason. That does happen. You know, people move on to other projects or leave the company, or, you know, things happen. People get promoted, whatever. Then we have all the notes and everything all here, right, related back to this project. And we don't have to try to get someone to send those or find them or go look on people's personal computers that they turned in since they left the company and try to hunt those things down. It's all right here, ready to go. So it just helps keep everything all within one place, right? So you can see how we can communicate, we can collaborate, we can work on this project and upload documents and track our issues and risks and all of that. And as we're doing that, the idea is all of this is going to flow into a pre-configured set of reports so that we don't have to try to manually generate reports every week, every month, you know, however often that we need those to give to leadership and management and stakeholders and whoever might want, you know, status really of what's going on. So let's take a look at some of these different reports that we can generate out of the box. So our out-of-the-box report pack has reports in lots of different areas. We have a project portfolio status one, which is what we're looking at here, that shows status across lots of projects. We have a project status one that's going to show more traditionally like one project at a time and the status of that project with a little bit more detail than we have here. There's a resource management one, a timesheet one, a financials one, you know, so on and so forth. And we won't go through all of those today, but I'll show you some of the kind of key ones that people generally use most often. So let's say I'm a portfolio manager or an executive or whatever it might be, and I want to look across all the projects that are going on and understand the status and how we're doing. That's exactly what this report here allows us to do. So I can see all the different projects that are going on, the overall status, schedule status, work status, right? And this is all feeding out of Project Online. So as people are making updates in there, that data all just automatically flows into this format. I don't ever have to go and kind of rebuild things and do lots of crazy stuff in Excel and formulas and all that to get this to work, right? From there, I can utilize the filters over on the side to filter this down and just look at the projects I want. So I might just want to look at my portfolio of cost-cutting projects. I could just focus in on that if I choose to do so. Or just projects for a certain project owner, or, you know, whatever it might be. Even overall health is equals either red or yellow, meaning all of my problem projects, the ones that are having some troubles. So you can utilize the filters to look at what you want to look at, and from there I can start to drill into these reports and get more information if I want. So I go, okay, 3 of my projects are at risk, 14 are over budget, 16 are behind schedule, right? So we're having some issues here with some of these. Let's drill in and see where those issues are really at. Using the tabs across the bottom, the first tab here is my schedule tab. So I'm now looking at all the same projects, but I'm seeing more schedule-related information. So I'm seeing things like duration variance. How far are we off from what, you know, we initially planned? Some of them are really far off. They have a big variance. Some of them not so far off, right? There's lots of different views in here. We can show, a Gantt or a timeline view of all of this if we choose to do so. We can dig into the cost information if that's more important to us at the current moment. I can see things like budget versus actual cost, what's remaining, so on and so forth here. We can even do time phased reports, so I can show costs over time. So in Q4, we budgeted this much, we've actually spent this much. And most of these reports are drill-in capable. So if I come here and click on Q4, it will drill in and then show me October, November, December. And if I'm tracking down to a more detailed level, like a daily level, I can continue to click in. So the really cool thing here is you can start at a very high level, just kind of executive summary with some basic information around the status of these projects. And with just a couple clicks, I can drill all the way down into cost by day if I want to do so, right? Continuing down the line, I can see here all my different projects, and I can see from a work perspective how we're doing, meaning we estimated we were going to spend this many hours, we've actually spent this many hours, here's what's remaining, so on and so forth. And so we can start to go through all the different tabs here and get all the information about risks and about issues all rolled up across all these projects. Cool thing is everything's connected. So if I click high priority in here, it'll then filter in and just show me the high priority risks. Power BI itself has lots of great ways that you can then consume these reports. So you can come here like I did just now. I can print these out to PDF or a piece of paper. I can embed them into SharePoint so they could actually be, right on my homepage of my Project Online site if I wanted to. I can export these out to PowerPoint so I don't have to try to manually create PowerPoint presentations anymore. It'll create it all just for me. And next week when I need the new data, I just hit refresh and it'll pull in all the latest data so I can do my presentation again. I can subscribe to these for email. And there's even a mobile app. So if I come back here, I'll go to one of my dashboards and kind of show what that looks like. I can switch to my mobile view of this and see what it would look like, say, on my mobile phone. So I can still access this all when I'm, on the fly. Even cooler than that, there's some ad hoc reporting capabilities in here that allow me to just type in a question, and based off of that question, it will actually create the report for me. So if I'm not the most technical user, I'm more of just a business user, but there's a report that I need, I don't have to submit a request and wait weeks for that to happen. I can just come in and self-serve myself if I want to. So I could do something like, let's do a resource management one. I'll do show average. And notice as I'm doing this, it's going to kind of help me out and give me ideas of things that I might want if I don't quite know the names of fields and that kind of stuff. I want to show average. Let's do work variance. And we'll do it by project, something like that. So based off of what I just typed in, it actually created this report. It didn't just go find one that already existed, right? From there, I can change it and go, you know what? I want this to be a column chart. And if I type in column, now it's a column chart. And it's giving me a lot of other options. Actually, I want it to be a pie chart. Now it's a pie chart. If you want to get fancy, you can open up the editor over here and you can change colors and fonts and add drill-ins and all kinds of other things, conditional formatting, so on and so forth. But if you're just looking for a basic report, you can do so in just a few seconds. It's as simple as that. Hit pin and I can pin that back to my dashboard. And now I have this new report that I just created on an ad hoc basis without having to do a lot of work. I didn't have to write any queries or anything crazy like that, right? So there are a lot of other different reports in the report pack. I'm not going to go through them all today in the interest of time, but we're happy to sit down and do more deep dive demos with you if you guys are interested in that. At the end of the day, the goal is that we can, manage all of our different projects over here in Project Online, have one place to go, one source of the truth, so to say, where we can manage all the aspects of our projects, and that all just automatically flows into these reports, which we can tweak and modify and add other reports if necessary, so that you can manage, track your projects and understand how we're doing, and give that status and provide that out into the organization and other stakeholders. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Jim for just a couple more finishing slides, and then we'll let you guys go for the day. So there you go, Jim.
All right, terrific, Matthew. Thank you for that great demo. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, terrific. Well, let's summarize what we've heard and seen today. Really, just want to summarize a little bit the benefits of the Project Online KickStart. Matthew gave you a good tour of end-to-end capabilities from demand management and intake all the way through execution on the project, portfolio, and resource management levels for different roles, what the project manager and what the team members would do, et cetera. within that, all the things that he showed you had been pre-configured with our KickStart package, whether it be the setups for the project intake forms, the portfolio management capabilities and the strategic drivers that helped prioritize those projects, whether it be the projects and the KPIs that you saw in there, the fields of data that got leveraged. On the resource management side, the enterprise fields on how you categorize and classify your resources, and just all of the reporting that you saw in there, the project workspaces, the enterprise project types, the all the pre-configured reports in the project in the Power BI reports. Those are all things that are pre-configured and come to the party with the KickStart. So while he showed it to you in action, all of that stuff is usable from day one with the KickStart package. So the value here is that you get value quickly with a minimum of service efforts. I mean, you could literally start with the pre-configured basis and start managing projects today if you wanted to do things fairly generically. So quick wins, being able to demonstrate the capabilities and show the organization that you're going to add value right away. Plus, it gets you the ability to leverage best practices from others' experiences. The things that are in there are based on hundreds and thousands of implementations, meaning you're going to limit your trial and error in trying to find things that work for the organization. And then you can expose or leverage the capabilities that make the most sense for your organization today. And as Matthew said, in a phased approach, release or uncover or expose the capabilities that you want the organization to get to on a more managed basis. And the key here is leverage what you already own. You can save money by leveraging your existing investment in Office 365 and then just extend into this Project Online capability. And with the KickStart, you get to actually save more because you're not spending as much consulting dollars to have a custom implementation of the product and the cost and the time that goes with that. Also, because it leverages Office and SharePoint and Office 365, if you're somewhat down that path, you're going to reduce adoption risk because you're going to be leveraging or just extending what your team already knows, meaning the learning curve is only incremental to what they're already doing. And then ultimately, you're going to increase the value from your current investment in Office 365 and Project or Project Online, meaning you're going to maximize the benefit of why you invested in the Microsoft Cloud platform to begin with. Also, from a sustainability perspective, it's going to be a common IT and cloud platform for development and customization, meaning you'll have the people internally that know these technologies, know how to administer them, and know how to extend them, meaning you're not going to have to learn some additional technology or platform from another third-party vendor and have to support that over time. The skill sets that you have in-house can be leveraged to do that as well. Just as a recap, Wicresoft, we provide all of the services that you may want, but we provide the IP or the technology like this KickStart package that will help you get there. And if you want support for global deployments, we have a footprint definitely all over North America, and we have some worldwide locations as well. Remember that we are a gold certified partner with a lot of rich experience in project portfolio management, collaboration and content, and cloud productivity solutions. Our focus of what we saw today is project and portfolio management using Project and Project Online under the Office 365 umbrella, but we also extend in that all work message, work to help you with professional services automation and other pieces in Microsoft Dynamics and Dynamics 365. If you're using Agile, helping you with Agile management and dovetailing that or connecting that into the portfolio management discipline, we actually can help you with that within Visual Studio. We also extend enterprise work management concepts leveraging the SharePoint platform beyond just what Project and Project Online have out of the box. So the idea here, if we tie this all together and leverage the Office 365 platform and the Dynamics 365 platform from Microsoft, we can get a lot of things done without having to use a lot of silos of information or other technologies to make that work. And ultimately, as Matthew showed you, all this can be visualized and surfaced through Power BI. So what would the next steps be? If you are interested by some of the things you saw here today and you want to find out how this can be applied to your organization, we're happy to offer you a free assessment and roadmap of what it might take to get you in that. So Wicresoft is happy to invest that time with you. We're also happy to invest time in setting you up with a Project Online trial and have Wicresoft chaperone you through that trial with Wicresoft support to that so you're not on your own with that. So please contact us if you're interested in trialing this out. Also, if you've seen some of the general demonstration things you have here, but maybe you say, hey, there's some unique things for our organization and our requirements, we're happy to do a similar demonstration, but more personalized for what you need and for what your requirements are. So feel free to reach out to us on that. If you want to reach out and contact us for this stuff, you can get us generally as an organization at NA Sales, that's short for North America Sales at Wicresoft.com. I'm happy to take your email personally at jpatterson@Wicresoft.com. And Mike Otranto will be reaching out to you with the video and the slide deck. So motranto@Wicresoft.com as well. So these are all avenues for you to get a hold of us. And we have our main website at us.wicresoft.com if you want to look at more about us and our general offerings. We have some specific content focused on Project Online at project-online.com. And then we have a whole integration platform in the Microsoft Cloud called Project Connect that can tie us with other solutions, as Matthew referred to, whether it's through your financial systems, your agile tools, your CRM system, your IT service management system. We have productized connectors, and if you're interested in that, it's at the same uswicresoft.com/Project Connect if you want more information on that. And we do webinars like this every week, and we have a whole library of on-demand recordings that we've done in the past and a list of our upcoming webinars for September. So if you go to uswicresoft.com/webinars, you can see what's out there historically, a lot of rich information, and then what's coming up that you might want to register for. So with that, I would like to say thank you for your time today. Hopefully you got value out of the time you spent with us, and we'd love to talk to you more about how this might apply in your own individual organizations. Thanks and have a great day.